sunny day. I've just been sat here for a couple of minutes chatting away, starting this session, and realised that I hadn't actually pressed go live. Oh my days. This is the thing, you've got to laugh at yourself. You have to laugh at yourself. So, as I already said to no one, we're going to do a little sequence that helps to relieve sciatica. A lot of my students and friends struggle with sciatica. It can be caused or exacerbated by spending a lot of time sitting and or being on your feet all day without stretching, because obviously gravity presses everything down and it pinches the nerves. Also, if you are overweight, that can exacerbate it as well, because obviously the more pressure, the more weight, the more pressure on it. So we're going to do a few little stretches. We're also going to do some acupressure points. We're going to show you some acupressure points that you can use. I'm going to have a drink now, because I was chatting away to no one, suddenly realised, oh, I haven't pressed go live. Oh. So yeah, we're going to use some acupressure points. Acupressure works on the same basis as acupuncture, but obviously we're not using needles. So we're just using our hands and fists, and because you're not using needles, you don't have to worry too much whether you're in the right spot, you know, because we're just going to be using our hands to massage and stimulate the area, so it's all good. We're going to start off, make sure you're sitting on a chair that enables you to have your feet flat on the floor, and a chair with no sides on it. I'm sorry, my darling, I'm going to have to move you for a minute, sweetheart. Mwah. I'm going to start off with some basic kind of massage techniques to get the energy flowing and to loosen up the muscles, because our muscles literally get tight and they kind of grip our joints, and that can also put pressure, can literally pinch the nerves. So very simply, mwah, sorry baby girl, just shuffle forward a little bit, make a light fist. So you've got like a floppy wrist, so you're not going to beat yourself up. And all you're going to do is you're going to tap up the inside, we get our liver meridian as well, and down the outside. And even just this kind of hinging forward and back as well also stretches out the sciatic nerve. If you can't reach all the way down, don't worry, just do the best that you can do. So we're tapping up the inside and down the outside, because that's the way that energy is said to flow. And you might start to notice your legs feel a little bit tingly. So some of you may not be able to reach all the way down to your legs. The other thing you can do is have another chair in front of you and have your legs up on a chair and do it that way. There's always ways, always ways. And then just working around your outer hips and glutes. Now, one of the points we'll be working on in a bit is a gallbladder point, and it's known as jumping hoops. And it's called jumping hoops because if you're not aware of it, it can make you go, oh, and jump out of your chair or off the bed. And you may notice as you're doing this, because it's around about there, that there is a little point that kind of makes you go, oh. So it's quite tender. So I'm just warning you in advance. So working all around your outer hips and buttock muscles. You want to loosen up the muscles before we stretch out. Make sure you're breathing nice and deeply. In and out through the nose if you can. Then just working your lower back. So again, the kidney points. Oh. It also will give you an energy boost, stimulating the kidney points. Basically, do as much as you can reach of your body. So we're going to start off with the kidney points now. So your lower back, either side of your spine muscle, so it's around about there. Again, you'll find a point that may feel slightly tender, but what you're going to do, the best way to do it is just make a fist and massage those points. And imagine your body is almost like a circuit board, and you want to get the energy flowing freely around your whole body. So imagine as you're massaging these points, the energy is going to flow freely throughout the whole body. And you might start to feel, I can actually feel, as I'm pressing this point, I can feel like a kind of throbbing all the way down my leg. So breathe nice and deeply as you massage it. You can hold it if you wish, and you can use your fingers if you wish, or you can do as I'm doing. and use your fist. So usually the acupressure points, they're never on a bone, they're always on like a softer area, and they'll often feel kind of tender, like it does when you've bruised yourself. And from there, again, we're going to work that jumping hoops point. Again, just make a fist and massage. I'll show it sideways so you kind of know where we are. And this point here, so if you poke around a bit, you'll find a point that makes you go, ah. Again, this is a gallbladder point, gallbladder 30. And just massaging this point. One of the good things about acupressure is that you can apply the amount of pressure that suits you. So you can apply more or less. There's not a case of more is better. Put it that way. It's not a case of you have to press really hard. You can press as lightly as you like. It's almost the intention is as important as the actual action. And if you were to just do the acupressure points by themselves, you can hold each point literally like for a minute. Then the next acupressure point is behind the knee. So basically like the knee crease behind the knees. So in the middle, behind the knees here, so there's your knee crease there. Again, you can do one or both sides. And again, you can either hold it or just massage, just doing little circles. Don't get too worried about the details. Don't sweat the small stuff, as they say. Again, just have that image of your body as like thousands of little streams. And we want to free up the energy to flow throughout the body. Because a lot of our kind of illness or dis-ease is caused by blockages in our energy system. So by doing this before we stretch, we're freeing up that energy system. The last one we're going to work on here is just below your ankle. If you are to kind of pinch your ankle like that, you'll probably find the point. So just below, just slightly behind your ankle. Again, you can massage, and that feels slightly tender. It feels like I've bruised it. I haven't. Again, if you can do one on both sides, if you can't quite reach, again, you can have your foot up on another chair so that you can reach it. And so you can do one side at a time if you wish. If you've not got a cat in your lap, you can do one side at a time. And I would recommend doing these points if you are struggling with sciatica. I'd recommend doing these points a couple of times a day, every day until it eases off, basically. Release. Awesome. Then we're going to come into some stretches. I'm sorry, my darling. I'm so sorry. 6 cats on one lap. So just shuffle towards the edge of your seat. And you're going to bring one foot onto your thigh. Now you may have to hold it here, and you may straight away feel the stretch in your outer hip and buttock muscles. The other option, if this isn't quite, you can't quite manage that yet, is to bring the foot on the inner thigh and gently press it down. And you can perhaps start, she's nothing if not persistent, you can perhaps start with this position, and then when that kind of eases up a little bit, bring the foot onto the thigh. I like to hold my foot, and also flexing that foot helps to protect your knee joint. Now even here, straight away, you should feel a stretch around your outer hips and glutes. And you can just stay right here. Or alternatively, you could hinge forward and back slightly, hinging from your hips, not bending from your ribs. So just draw your belly button in to help protect your spine. And just hinging forward and back. So if this is too strong, then just stay where you were. It's all about finding what works for you. And you may find that one day you're like really tight and you stay here and that's it, you don't want to go any further. You might find another day that you want to hinge a lot further forward. The longer you stay in the stretch and the more deeply you breathe, your body will start to release. And you can perhaps use it. You can perhaps use it as a guide. check in each day to see how it feels each day. And the chances are the first time you try it, especially if you're in a kind of acute phase of sciatica, it might be quite painful. So make sure you're breathing as deeply as you can. And again, if you're hinging forward, make sure you're hinging from your hips. You're not kind of collapsing from your rib cage. And after a few breaths, you're going to slide that knee, I'm so sorry, my darling, on top. Squeeze the knees together. She's got ADHD, bless her heart. Squeeze those legs together. Hang on for dear life. And take a little twist. So turn through your upper body. Imagine turning through your ribs. Bring the hand either to the side of the chair or to the back of the chair. As you breathe in, think of lengthening up, nice and tall. As you breathe out, try and twist a little bit further. But keep squeezing the legs as if your legs are hugging each other. A nice and deep breath. Make sure you're not collapsing in the spine. So lift up nice and tall. See, having cats around really teaches you to go with the flow. Then I'll come back and do the same on the other side. So taking a little twist around the other way. And always keep in mind, it's not a competition to see how far you can twist. Oh, it's a good job I don't take myself seriously, isn't it, my darling? Hey, it's a good job Mummy doesn't take herself too seriously. Release, come back, release that leg, that left leg. I know my camera sometimes switches it, so I say I'm doing my left, but I'm doing my right. Looks like I'm doing my right. You're going to shuffle over to the edge of your chair, so that butt cheek is hanging off. Flex that leg, and again, just try and hinge forward and back. I look like I'm about to breastfeed a cat. That's just so wrong. Oh, Lulu, my sweetheart, really? Again, hinge from your hips. You might only be able to come a little way forward, and that's absolutely okay. You might be able to reach your toes. Again, use it as a guide. And instead of kind of having a perfect pose in mind, which there isn't at all, just see how you are on each day. And some days you may easily be able to reach your toes, and another day not so. So there's no problem as long as you can feel a stretch in your hamstrings. There's no kind of end goal. The end goal really is that you can breathe and that you can stretch and that you can release tension. That's our goal. Then coming back up again, if you were to do these stretches on your own, you can hold them for longer. Bring that leg in, and we're going to do it all on the other side. Right, sweetheart, I really am going to have to pop you down, my sis. I'm so sorry. So you're going to bring the other foot in. Again, if you can, place it on the thigh. If that's too tight and you're struggling to breathe easily, you can bring the foot here and start from there. If you bring the foot inside, you want to sit further back. And as you press the knee out, make sure you're not lifting your sit bone off. And if you bring your foot up here, shuffle forward a little bit. Again, I like to hold my foot there. Now your knee may be higher, your knee may be lower. Again, you can stay right here, or you can hinge forward and back. Again, just make sure that you're hinging from your hips and you're not just bending in the middle. So as you hinge forward, you'll feel a stronger stretch, and you might be able to feel your jumping hoops acupressure point. And if you really want to go for it, you can even massage that acupressure point as you're here. But that's just an option. You don't have to. You don't have to at all. Again, just check in, make sure you're not lifting the other sit bone off the floor. So some days you might be up here, and that's perfectly okay. Let your breath be your guide. You should always be able to breathe easily. So if you're like, holding your breath, then it's a bit too much. You need to ease off a little bit. And after you've been there for a couple of breaths, come up, slide that knee on top, squeeze the legs together. Sit up nice and tall and take a little twist. Twists are so good for our spine. Literally most of our movements are in a forward motion, so when we twist the body, that can help free up trapped nerves and all that kind of thing. Fresh supply of blood to our abdominal region. I just love twists. I say to my students, I say to anybody, if you do one thing a day, do a twist. Do a twist. After you've done a couple of breaths that side, do the same on the other side. And you can have an image of your spine in your mind and just visualize mobilizing your spine. When you've done a couple of breaths, release that leg, extend it out, again just shuffle over so that butt cheek's off the floor. Extend that leg out, flex the foot, and you may be here, that might be enough for you, just hinging forward and back here. You might be able to slide the hand down. Again, try and keep a flat back so you're not kind of like, where's my toes? Your toes are on the end of your feet where they were before. Doesn't matter if you can't reach them. You'll still feel a stretch down the back of that leg. Make sure you're on a sturdy chair, by the way, on a non-slip floor. I don't want to go woohoo and the chair flying off. Again, nice deep breaths. And as you breathe deeply, you'll notice with each exhale, you'll release a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. That's why the breath is so important. You know, often when we're in discomfort, we hold the breath, and when we hold the breath, we're holding everything. We're holding everything, and we're trying to release tension, not create more of it. And coming up nice and gently, nice and slowly, bring that foot in, shuffle across, and we're going to come up to standing. Now come to the back of your chair. You can spin it around. Spin it around, around. And you're going to have your hands on your chair and you're going to walk your feet back to the point where you can be in a kind of like right angle position. So you want your hips in line with your ankles. I want you just to focus on your tailbone for a minute. As you breathe in, stick your tailbone out. As you breathe out, tuck your tailbone under. So visualize your tailbone, stick it out, tuck it under. Now this may not be a big move, and that's okay. It's not meant to be a big move. Just tuck and tilt. And you'll feel as you lift the tailbone up, you'll feel that stretch. You'll feel yourself opening up the backs of your knees. So literally visualize your pelvis tilting forward and back. And feel that stretch in the backs of your knees. And this time lift your tailbone up and stay there. Stay in that tilted position. You can relax your head between your arms. It's a great stretch for the spine. So you might need to bend your knees slightly if it's really tight, because if you've got tight hamstrings, your back will feel tight. You can walk a little bit further away. Again, always adjust it. Even though we've all got the same kind of requisite body parts, they're all structured slightly differently. And what might feel good for me might not feel good for you. Another stretch you can do here is come at the same idea, is to step one foot slightly further forward than the other, making sure your feet are hip width. So you don't want to be walking on a tightrope. Feet hip width and come into that same flat back position. And you can tuck and tilt your tailbone a little bit. And feel the opening up of the backs of the legs as you do that. And then stay. Imagine really pulling up your thigh muscles. Lift your kneecaps, lift your thighs, feel that stretch in the backs of the legs. Getting into that sciatic nerve. And you can hold that for a couple of breaths. Switching sides, doing the same on the other side. Again, just tuck and tilt your pelvis a couple of times, which is a great move for releasing tension in your lower back. Loosening up. Imagine your body a bit like a car. You know, when a car is sat, you know, not doing anything, it rusts and it seizes up. So all these kind of movements are a bit like adding a bit of WD-40 to your joints. Again, with each exhale, you'll feel yourself releasing a little bit further. And when you're done, walking the feet back in. And we do a little stretch on the floor. So you're going to come down on to the floor and you're going to bring your legs onto your chair. You want to get like reasonably close to it. We're going to do a similar stretch that we did sitting, but this is another way of doing it. So whilst you're here, you're going to bring your right foot onto your left thigh. You can hold that foot. You can gently press that knee out. Now, if you're really tight around here, this might be a more accessible way to do it because you can relax your back here. And as you're pressing the knee out, just make sure you're not tilting your pelvis. And this is also a great way for releasing tension in the spine because your back is supported. So the muscles alongside your spine can relax. And you can stay here for as long as you like. And obviously switching legs, doing the other side. I often say do your good side, then your bad side, then your bad side, good side, bad side again. If you've got a bad side. And you can also just rest here with your legs on your chair. And this will help to release tension in your back. Your heart gets a rest because your legs are higher than your heart. Your back muscles can relax because the spine is totally supported. Because a lot of times we don't realize we're holding tension until we release it. And especially if you spend a lot of all day on your feet, like if you're working in nursing, caring, that kind of thing, this is perfect to do at the end of the day to relieve your backache, to relieve tired legs. It feels so nice. You can even you can stay here for an hour or so. You can stay here and watch telly, whatever you like. And that will help ease your backache and also kind of give you a bit of an energy boost. So I hope that has been of some benefit to you. When you come out nice and gently. Don't just like jump out with no awareness. And say if you are struggling with acute sciatica, I would do, if not the whole routine, then at least a couple of stretches every single day and do the acupressure points a couple of times a day until it eases off. Enjoy the rest of your day, beautiful souls, and yeah, speak to you soon. Mwah! At least I don't have to press play this time. Oh dear, that one.